Hello, I'm Brad Bookout. I am a candidate for United States Congress in Indiana's 6th Congressional District. I'm honored to have the opportunity to run for this seat, and I look forward to having the opportunity to serve you in Washington, D.C. I'm here today to tell you a little bit about myself and a little bit about my background. I've been married to my wonderful wife, Lisa, for nearly 18 years. Together, Lisa and I have 3 sons, Brandon, Brady, and Brock Bookout, ages 15, 13, and 8. I live in Delaware County in a small town called Yorktown, just west of Muncie. I've lived there all of my life, and I've lived in the 6th Congressional District all of my life. By trade, I'm a certified master home builder. I'm a 4th generation certified master home builder, and my family's been building homes in East Central Indiana nearly all of my life and for nearly 100 years. After I graduated from Ball State University in 1995, I went to work with my father working in the business. Together, we built nearly 25 homes a year for nearly 15 years. Times were great. We had a nice house, we had a nice car, and our family lived well. In 2007, things started to change for the home building business and countless other businesses all over the United States. Things got so bad for the home building business and many other businesses that my family, like many others, had to go without. For 2 years, I worked every day without a paycheck from 2007 to 2009. In 2009, I woke up one day and I realized I have to do something different. I have to do something to try to better our economy, to make this a better place, so my children and yours can have a great place to live and prosper. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew I needed to do something. In 2004, I was elected to the Delaware County Council at large. After 2 years on the Delaware County Council, I was elected with unanimous bipartisan support to be president of that body. Every time there was an economic development opportunity, or there was someone who came to our community who was interested in creating new jobs, I wanted to be first in line to help them out and do everything I could to be there and be at their assistance. I did that, and I worked hard to be accommodating to new businesses and business growth. In 2009, after struggling with our home building business, I decided that I wanted to be a full-time economic development official. I was hired by and worked with our regional economic development group on job creation. Together, we worked hard to improve a 4-county regional area. We're still working at that today, and we've had a lot of success. In Delaware County, I now work with the Economic Development Alliance as well as the mayor and the county commissioners on job creation. Together, we have worked on many different business opportunities in Delaware County. My specific job has been to help get the approvals for many of these job creation opportunities that we've been offered to our community. Names like Progress Rail. Progress Rail is a locomotive manufacturing facility located in Delaware County, creating over 650 jobs. We're excited to have locomotives being built and manufactured in our community that are made in East Central Indiana. We also worked with Bell Aquaculture, a fish farm in Albany, Indiana. There are now more yellow perch in Delaware County than there are people in the state of Indiana, which we think is a great thing. We work with Mersix Corporation, who makes parts for cars and appliances and other opportunities. Mersix invested $12 million in our community to build a new building and to hire 250 new workers. Other names such as DSE Trucking, Magna Corporation, Midwest Metal are also companies that we've worked with and assisted on building new buildings and with job creation. However, as I travel around the district, I see that these efforts are needed everywhere. We have vacant, dilapidated buildings all over the place. We have people living in our communities who don't have the enthusiasm and excitement that they used to have to get up and to go to work and to try hard. That's because our communities have been stripped of our opportunities, and people have gotten to a point where they're not excited about working and not excited about the jobs that are offered because they've been let down in so many different situations. I think we can change that, and I think we can change that for the better all over the district. I've worked hard with a friend of mine to create a book, an economic development book for the 6th Congressional District. That book is called A Super Plan for Jobs. In this book are detailed plans, specific projects, as well as my positions on many issues that we would deal with as being your congressional candidate and being your congressional representative. This book, I believe, is the future for the 6th Congressional District in moving forward with job creation in our area. I want to use the position as I want to use the congressional seat as more or less a pulpit to help with economic development opportunities, to revive our communities, to get us moving in the right direction. I'm willing to work with mayors, city councils, county commissioners, state representatives, senators, and the governor to make sure that projects are put in place and put underway, and that buildings that have sat vacant for way too long are able to be utilized for new job creation activities. Another problem that plagues our communities is the pay that is associated with many of the jobs. It is tough for young people, particularly young people who have been to college or have incurred debt to go back to school, to go into a job that pays $9, $10, $11, $12 an hour and be able to feed their family, make ends meet, and pay off their college tuition. We have to elevate our standard of jobs, and we have to elevate our standard of living and expectations for those jobs. I believe we can do that, and in my book I have detailed specific plans and ways that we can make that happen. I'm excited for the opportunity to help you out and to work in the 6th Congressional District. Again, my name is Brad Bookout. By trade, I'm a certified master home builder. I've worked hard with economic development and job creation, and we have many successes to speak of that we would like to expand throughout the entire region and the entire district. I've been an elected official in Delaware County, and I understand the trials and tribulations that are associated with that. I want to help you, and I want to help the district, and I want to be your congressman. I ask for your support, and I ask for your vote in this upcoming election. My name is Brad Bookout, and I ask for your support. Thank you, and may God bless you, and may God bless all of the 6th Congressional District.
Good morning. I'm George Holland. I'm a reform, progressive, populist candidate for the Democratic nomination of the U.S. House of Representatives from Indiana's 6th District, which includes Connersville. I'm a native Hoosier. I currently live in Rushville, where I've lived since 1993. If you go to my website, which is georgehollandforcongress.com, you can read about me and my background and my family, but also about my issues. And I took this off my resume is from where it says George's background. But here are my issues. Putting America first, putting American families, jobs, and seniors first. Not war profits, oil profits, IPAC, Israel, or Wall Street. Folks, these are perilous times. When I first ran for Congress in 1986, my issue was staying out of foreign entanglements as a veteran. I'm concerned about wars, and particularly needless wars. In 1988, I was the Democratic nominee for Congress opposing Dan Burton. My issues at that time had changed dramatically and were the jobs and debt. Mr. Reagan had come into office, if you recall, talking about there being too many regulations and too much in the way of taxes and things, so he promised to cut taxes by 30%. And what happened was, our great nation had never had a national debt of over $980 billion after 200 years. And when Mr. Reagan left office 8 years later, we were well on our way to what we're experiencing today, deficits and debt. He had actually increased the debt to $2.7 trillion. It was increased more by Mr. Bush, up to 4 point something, and then by Mr. Clinton, it was 5.6. Mr. Bush Jr. came into office, of course. The national debt was $5.2 trillion. He promised surpluses as far as the eye can see. When Mr. Bush Jr. left office, the national debt had gone over $11 trillion, and he had increased it in his amendments to 4-year terms by over $6 trillion. Deficit spending cannot go on, folks. This is the ruination, the debasing of our currency. It will destroy any nation, and so will endless wars. I was here in Connersville in 2003 when Mr. Pence spoke at the Senior Citizen Center one morning on one of his town hall meetings, and he was talking about the aluminum tubes they'd found that were part of the weapons of mass destruction. And I stood in the background as a veteran and as a citizen, shaking my head no, because I had been following that very, very closely. I'd been the hawk on Vietnam, and that was based on something that never happened called the Tonkin Bay incident. And everyone should go to Washington, like I have, to Arlington, and see the wall, the National Vietnam War Memorial. And it will give you second thoughts before we jump into any wars. Mr. Pence was a big promoter, of course, of the Bush tax cuts, promising jobs. Now, we have been into those tax cuts for how long? 11 years. First one started in 2001, then additional in 2003. By 2004, it was apparent that the deficits were increasing. But where were the jobs? And this is part of where I'm asking Mr. Pence. Now, you promised jobs. Now, where are they, Mr. Pence? So 6th District citizens, if you've had enough, you're going to have a choice of a reform candidate, not the same old same. My concern about the tax cuts were that over 400 American economists, 400, signed a whole-page ad in the New York Times denouncing those tax cuts as not creating any jobs, but creating deficits and more debt. And what did Congress do? They ignored it, and Mr. Pence too. At that time, I answered an Indianapolis Star question, do you support the George Bush tax cuts? And I answered absolutely not, and told them why. This is warmed over Reaganomics. It doesn't work, it doesn't produce anything but deficits and debt. But where have these tax cuts gone? They've gone to the top 10%, the top 1%, and even the top 0.1%. These people are just happy with these tax cuts, folks. But the trade-off to the average little guy is we are going to have debt as far as the eye can see. So my number one issue now has become the debt bubble, because it will be the next and the last bubble when it occurs, and you better be ready for it. Get your financial house in order. There are a lot of things going on about budget, and how do we do the budget now? How does Congress, what is going to be cut? And even Mr. Obama has said, well, Social Security, Medicare, everything's on the table. Well, they shouldn't be, because these are funded. Mr. Obama, following the success of the Bush-Pence tax cuts and how well people liked them, now has given the American people another tax cut, and they call it a 2% federal tax cut. But folks, it's not a federal tax cut. That 2% is taken from the 6.2% that the employer and the employee pay into Social Security. And why is that important? Because Social Security now will become unraveled, as Senator Tom Harkin has said. It will become unraveled. And when you start doing that, you're destroying the system. Social Security, here in Indiana alone lifts like 380,000 seniors out and above the poverty level. Don't let anyone destroy Social Security. Don't let them tell you that it should be privatized or that it's insolvent. It isn't. And I'll challenge anyone who says that. This is why I have made this a big part of my campaign of saving Social Security. Save Social Security and give me your support. I'm a senior citizen, and I know what's going to happen if Social Security is destroyed. The other thing I've been talking about is getting out of these wars. Wars cost money. The wars in Iraq and Afghanistan were based on lies, greed, and deceit, which I have documented on my website if you will look for them. There's an article called Blood Money that everyone should read. These wars were pre-planned. We've got to get out of this. The currency of the United States, the petrodollar, is going down the tubes. There's nothing much left there. And this is what the United States government is trying to stop. But other countries have given up on. Iraq was dealing in euros. Libya was dealing in euros. This is why it was a no-no. And this is why part of the reasons they were taken out. I want to close on this. I have 6 beautiful grandchildren. I want a better future for them than endless wars, endless debt, and endless printing of paper money. Okay? And let me just close with one other thing. These social nets have to be protected. Medicare and Social Security shouldn't be touched. If you want to touch anything, start with what is spent on defense spending. We spend more than any other country, than all the other countries of the world combined. We are the only industrialized nation that doesn't have some form of national health care. And this is what I recommend. Not Obamacare, but Medicare for all. It's less expensive. It cuts the insurance companies and their prohibitive, what you might say, profits out of the picture. Okay? God bless you, keep you, and I thank you for the time you have given me, and I thank Channel 3 here for their kindness.
Hi, my name is Jim Crone, and I'm running for the United States Congress in the newly formed 6th District. And I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a sociology professor at Hanover College, and I've been there for 30 years. I've studied social problems for many years. One of the things I've done is I have a book entitled How Can We Solve Our Social Problems? And we address crime, inequality, poverty, problems of the family, and a number of other problems. Well, I've been studying these problems for a long time, and I think I have a way to help our country and help our 6th District in terms of a number of social problems that we have. One of the social problems that we have is Social Security. And I think there's a way to help us on that, and that is to eliminate or at least raise the ceiling on Social Security in terms of putting taxes into that. After people make $106,800, they don't pay into Social Security anymore. I would like to raise that, and by doing so, we could preserve and strengthen Social Security without changing age limits or anything like that. A second issue that I think is very important is our economy and jobs. We, as you know, have had 10% unemployment, and now we're down to 8%, which is very good. That's a good trend, but we need to keep on going. And right now we have 15% poverty in our country, so we need to bring that down too. One of the things that I would do is to be on a committee in Congress to help to see how we can partially reindustrialize in our country and in the 6th District. We won't be able to probably reindustrialize like the 40s and 50s. That's unrealistic. There's so much competition with China, India, other countries. But I think with some tax incentives and tax disincentives and other kinds of things, I think we can begin to partially reindustrialize, and I would really work in this 6th district to make that happen. I think another thing we need to do is to bring about a little bit more unemployment compensation for a while. We've got a lot of people out of work. If we have some unemployment compensation for people, that puts money in their pocket, and then they will spend that money, and that will stimulate the economy. I agreed with President Obama in bailing out and saving General Motors and Chrysler. They're paying back their loans that they got from us, the American people, and now they're thriving, they're making a profit, and they're holding on to jobs, and they're even increasing their jobs. And also it helps save all the suppliers to General Motors and to Chrysler, the tires, the metal, the radios, etc. So I think that was the right and good thing to do, because that could have taken us possibly into a depression. So I agree with him on that particular position. So we need to continue to focus on jobs and the economy. A third thing that I think we need to do is with respect to the national debt. We're $14 trillion or more now in debt, and we need to get out of debt, and I think there are 2 or 3 things that we can do. One of the things that we need to do, and I know no one likes to hear this, but I think we need to have a combination of decreased spending in various ways, but also increase some taxes. I know people don't like that, but I think if we're going to be realistic, if we're going to solve the national debt problem, we've got to do both. Now here's one thing, and my criterion for trying to do any kind of tax increase is to do any kind of tax increase that hurts people the least. That's, I think, a main criterion. And one of the things I think we need to do is, or we can do, is to tax 1/2 of 1% of all stock transactions on Wall Street. There are billions and billions of dollars traded each day, and it's estimated that about $500 billion in tax could come in just with that one tax. We could take that, we could allocate that only to bringing down the national debt, and over a period of years we could bring down that national debt. So that takes care of Social Security, national debt. Also with respect to national debt, I think we need to increase taxes somewhat on those who make quite a bit of money. Those who make $250,000 or more, I think they could pay a little bit more in their income taxes. Right now, the inheritance tax is that when a person inherits $5 million, they don't have to pay on the first $5 million. I think we could cut that back somewhat and see what we can do with respect to that inheritance tax. Those various kinds of taxes would, the criterion would be to hurt those who have the most, hurt other people the least, and we don't want to continue to tax the poor or the working class, etc., because of such low incomes. So that's a difficult issue, but I think we need to face that. Those are some of the issues that I think we need to address. One more issue I think that we need to address, and I would like to study and analyze in the U.S. Congress, if you would honor me to be your congressman, and that would be to address the health care problem. We're going through the new Affordable Health Care Act right now. It came out in March of 2010. Passed by the Congress and signed by President Obama. It's not perfect, but I think its intent is trying to bring more Americans to have health care, to have affordable health care. There are some bugs. We need to work those bugs out, but I think we're on the right track and we have the right intention. I don't know whether you know it or not, but most industrialized countries in the world, in fact all industrialized countries in the world, have health care for all their people. We are the only industrialized country that does not have health care for all of its people. I think we can do better. And I think if we went to France, Germany, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, and other countries and picked the very best things out of their healthcare system and brought them back to our country, and then we make an American healthcare system that provides for the healthcare needs of all the American people. I think we can do that. We've done other things, and we can do that too. So, I've talked about healthcare. I've talked about jobs, I've talked about the national debt, and I've talked about Social Security. Those are 4 issues that if you would honor me to be your congressman, that's what I would really study. So I want to say 1 or 2 more things. First, I would be the kind of congressman that would be civil, be reasonable, willing to compromise, and the other sides need to compromise too, but I'm willing to reach across the aisle. I think we need to do that, otherwise government will not work. We have to have compromise for government to work. So, I want to be civil, reasonable, and compromise to some degree. So if you elect me to the Congress in the 6th District, I will work to improve these kinds of conditions, and I'll work with other fellow congresspersons in order to make a better America and in order to make a better 6th District. Thank you.
Hello. Susan Hall Heitzman. That's me. But you're not even going to have to remember that name. Just Susan in the 6th. I'm the only woman running for Congress in this new 6th District. Let me tell you, that's a big one. It's over 100 miles long. It's almost 60 miles wide. It's a beautiful area. You know that because you live here. I've gotten to ride on a lot of your roads lately, and I appreciate this area for the beauty, for the fact that we've got Ball State, we've got Hanover, and that's where I graduated from, by the way, and we've got Earlham, we've got Ivy Tech, we've got beautiful opportunities for our kids here, but we all know something's wrong. And you have an opportunity to change that by your vote this spring in the primary, and if you can't vote for me in the spring, think about it hard in the fall. Do you know there are 77 countries that have a higher representation of women in their parliaments and legislators than we do in America? A lot of women are out there running. Shelley Yoder in the 9th, and I'm in the 6th. I thought I was going to be in the 9th District, so when I sent my Christmas card out in 2010, and I included this poem, I also included a picture of the 9th District. You know, that's Lee Hamilton's old district, so we know that politics can work. I wrote this right after the election in 2010. A new moon, a new beginning, a starry sky, a festival of lights, a call to life, a call to spirit, healers all we must become. The American dream, the pioneer thrust, the earth brought low and war goes on, some children hungry, some drugged and distant, helpers all we must become. Changing hearts, leaving fear behind, loving must become the focus, caring must become our token, Christful all we must become. I am a writer. I wrote this book for preschool girls, premenstrual girls, so that they can find the self-esteem they need. And I want to start with a story. 40 years ago, I was carrying a diaper bag. I was called to a meeting in a church basement and didn't even know what the meeting was for. Everybody sitting around had a diaper bag. Most of us were nursing our babies. white male politician comes in and he starts talking about abortion. And your gut wrenches. You've just given birth. But he didn't talk long about back alley butchers. He wanted us to know that the reason we needed to legalize abortion was so we could decrease the poor black population. My face got red. I kind of started shaking all over. I was so angry. My older brother had been in the civil rights movement. He's an Episcopal priest. And I couldn't believe they were saying that. I started out in juvenile probation in Marion County, and I had worked with so many African Americans, quality people who I knew they were on a little higher plane about the sacredness of life because of what their ancestors, the women that they were descended from, had gone through. It was a stupid idea. So I, without a voice and being a female, I just let it go for 40 years, I guess. But I've been paying attention to what's been happening. When it didn't work, you know what the next generations of politicians have done for us? They have used it to polarize and keep, they say, as much as 32% of our electorate voting a one-issue vote. Against their own best interests, voting that, and they don't intend to change that law. They've had the power, and they didn't change it. What they are doing is using it to keep people from voting against bad policy. There are so many things we need to get to. There are so many issues we have to solve and so many problems. And yet we can't get off of that because we're polarized like two magnets, you know? When you push them together and you can't get them together, well, that's where we are. Here's a magazine, Industry Week. Is there still time to save U.S. industry? Well, it reads just like yesterday. It was written in 1971. 40 years our industries have been leaving. Here's another recommendation. When I got into this race, what I wanted to do was change the conversation. Here's a book that I think everyone needs to read, and certainly my fellow candidates. That Used to Be Us: How America Fell Behind in the World It Invented and How We Can Come Back. I would not make the choice of abortion for another woman. I would not make the choice of euthanasia for another human being, but there's certainly worse things than death, and somebody that's lived as long as I have knows that. I've got 6 goals for my candidacy in the 6th district. The first one is to realize it's an opportunity that we live in this incredible district, and getting to know our political values will help us all. The second goal is that we need to recognize that women are paying attention. We need to recognize that women have some of the answers that men don't have. Now, believe me, grandfather, father, brothers, husband, 46 years I've been married, my son, my son-in-law, these are intact, emotionally mature men, and I've been surrounded by that kind of male. So this isn't about men, but it's about the fact that we need the women in our legislature. Going on, the polarization, the toxicity of the polarization. I'm so over it. We are losing our values. Our means become whatever the end is supposed to be. We can justify anything, totally unethical. So, what I want to do is create a forum of experience. I buy my clothes at Goodwill. I'm not looking for a lifestyle change. What I want to do is share my salary and create in at least 15 of the population centers in the new 6th district a forum of experience made up of primarily retired people who can funnel to me their expertise. I live in just the right place in Jennings County. I belong to an electric co-op, I belong to a water co-op, I belong to a communications co-op and a credit union. Local governance work. We can have a governance co-op, and then it won't matter who the representation what name or what label or what sex it will be, because that person will come up through that training ground and be ready. We won't be sending raw meat to Congress. We won't be letting them become professional politicians. Instead, they will be our representative from the new 6th District. Thank you so much for listening.
Hello, my name is Bill Frazier. I'm a candidate in the Republican primary for the 6th Congressional District for the United States House of Representatives. The election's to be held in May, on May the 8th, and I want to kind of outline some of my qualifications and some of the reasons why you should maybe consider me as your next United States Congressman from the 6th District. I've lived here all of my life. I farm, and I'm the 8th generation farmer, as a matter of fact, in eastern Indiana. We have farms up in the northern part of the district, near Muncie. We raise corn, soybeans, hay, wheat. We have a 200-head herd of Black Angus cows. We do have a cow-calf operation. Some of the things that's got me excited about this district and this race, to be sure, is the fact that I've been in business, private business, all of my life. I did serve one term in the Indiana State Legislature as a state senator, so I have some idea how government's supposed to work. But the federal government has just gotten completely out of hand. The deficit, as we all know, is running rampant. We're talking, used to be billions, now we're in trillions, and it's hard for me to comprehend what a trillion really is. I figured up the other day that 1 trillion seconds in relative to time is over 38,000 years. So we're in debt more than $15 trillion in this country today. And our children and our grandchildren are going to be paying on that for a long time to come. So how do we solve this problem? Well, number one, we start living within our means. I've run, as I told you earlier, several successful businesses here in this area. Been a farmer all of my life, and I know how to balance books. I know how to meet a payroll. As a matter of fact, I still have 10 people that I employ today. So it's nothing new for me to run a successful business and to know what it takes to make it work. And it's the same thing with the federal government. We simply spend too much. The government is the most ineffective entity to spend money and to do just about anything. I just read the past day or two where the government service organization had a conference in Las Vegas, and they are supposed to manage government in a frugal and a fiscal responsible way. Well, they spent nearly $1 million, I think well over $800,000 in Las Vegas at this conference. It's just ridiculous, some of the things that they spent the money on. So this is what we have to put a stop to. And I've had that experience in the Indiana State Senate as a state senator. You have to sometimes say no, and sometimes it's not very helpful, or certainly not very popular with party leaders to say what needs to be said. And this is what I'm prepared to do if you decide to send me as your representative to the Congress. Now, I've sent out brochures. Hopefully you have gotten some of these in the mail where I outline what my positions are, what I will do, and what I hope to accomplish if elected. One thing I've heard a lot of people here in Fayette and Wayne counties, Richmond, Connorsville, and throughout the district, is they're tired of people making a profession out of retirement, out of going to Congress. Well, I've pledged to serve no more than 3 terms if elected.
people want to get term limits. Well, it's going to be nearly impossible to get something like that passed in Congress. So I'm pledging to you right now that 3 terms will be plenty for me. If I can't make an impact and get things fixed in 6 years, then we're going to have to let someone else try. Some of the other things that I want to do, number one, is to certainly eliminate this Obamacare. We need some health care reform, but the Obamacare law is certainly not the way to do it. And it's being proven that's the case almost on a daily basis as this law is becoming and being implemented. Some of the other things we need to cut, I've talked about cutting federal spending. We need to protect Social Security. At the rate we're going, our seniors, and especially the young people coming after us, aren't going to have any Social Security benefits if we don't reform that program. My suggestion is leave people who are 65 or 55 years of age now and older, they can stay on the plan as it is presently. But we must reform it or the whole thing's going to collapse. And I think that's pretty common knowledge. Another area is we've got to get jobs back in this part of the state. It's unbelievable what we have allowed to happen. And that's through the reason we've lost a lot of our jobs is simply because of over-regulation, too many taxes on business. We've simply run them out of the country. And I think we need to reform this tax code for businesses substantially, maybe even down to 0 for a period of time to attract businesses and manufacturing back to this congressional district. That'll be one of my major goals, because certainly if we have adequate employment, tax are going to be collected, we're going to have more money to fund Social Security, fund our schools, fund our cities, and the list goes on. So the best thing we can do is get as many people back to work as we possibly can. And I think we've got some good ideas to get that started. I've been in contact with Representative Ryan out of the fellow the chairman of the Budget Committee in the House of Representatives, and he's got some very good ideas. One thing, since I've had some experience in being in the legislature, a freshman congressman is not going to have a whole lot of clout, believe me. I know that as a fact. Now, but I've agreed to team up with people like Ryan, and there's another fellow, a congressman in Florida by the name of Mack, that has another plan on how to start reducing this unmanageable debt that we have. So by signing on with those two people that have, and others in Congress, in 2010 we elected some people that are like-minded, in other words, think like I do, and if we get some more elected this cycle, then I think we can make big inroads into solving some of these problems that this nation faces. Some other things, we need to create a new tax system. You know, you have millions of words in our present tax code, and no one understands what it is. It's unmanageable. So we need to have a simpler tax code, a fair tax, flat tax, something other than what we presently have. Another thing is to secure our borders. We need to make sure that this influx of illegal aliens is stopped, and I mean stopped now. I've proposed building a fence immediately and getting it stopped. And the ones that are here illegally, committed crimes, need to be sent back to where they came from. I've talked about term limits. I'm a veteran. I've served in the United States Army as a paratrooper. I know what the military is all about, and we need to have a strong national defense and a strong military, and we need to start treating our veterans with a little bit more respect than we have in the past. Being a disabled veteran, I can speak very with personal experience to that issue. Basically, that's what I had to visit with you tonight. Again, my name is Bill Frazier. I'm a candidate on the in the Republican primary for the United States House of Representatives, the 6th District of Indiana, and I certainly would very much appreciate your vote and your support on May the 8th. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Joe Sizemore. I live in Matamora, Indiana, just a few miles from here, and I'm running for the 6th District Congressional Congress seat. I'm an elected official in Franklin County. I'm a councilman for District 1. District 1 consists of 5 townships: Posey, Blooming Grove, Laurel, Matamora, and Fairfield. I've been elected now 2 years, and I enjoy my elected duties. I take them seriously. But let me tell you a little bit about my family. I have 3 children, been married 22 years. Christy Peck is her maiden name. She grew up on the Sains Creek right outside of Laurel. Now, I was born in Rushville in '64. I went to New Salem School until I was in the 7th grade. Then we moved to Clay County, Kentucky, and I finished out elementary school and high school there. And then when I got out of high school in '82, I graduated. I come back up here and I went to work in Shelbyville in August of '82. Then it was called KT Corporation. Now we switched the name to Triumph Fabrication Services Shelbyville. It's a bigger company now, but same people. But I've been employed there constantly since '82. I've farmed for several years, and I bought the place down on Pipe Creek. Raised tobacco and paid it off. But just one of the main reasons I got into politics was I was the kind of guy. I was always kind of a soapbox preacher, but I always thought somebody had it. And I was sitting one day and reading the paper, and we had a big controversy in Franklin County at the time, and I thought, well, somebody's got it all right, and we got a mess. So I decided to get into politics. I went down, filed, and ran, and I've enjoyed that. I won, but this Congress deal, this came up to me several months ago. I've always kind of watched that and thought, them guys up there, I always kind of thought they wasn't really doing what they should be doing, but that's their, But the more I got to thinking about it, it started weighing on me, and I thought maybe I could go do something. Maybe I could go make a difference. I'm not a congressional scholar. I've got some college classes. I'm not rich, and I'm not taking any donations. We've done this all on our own. I had spent just $80 until the other day, and then I bought some signs. And we're putting up some signs because a lot of the people that support me wanted to sign. But I'll tell you, if you elect me, if the people put me there in this office, I'll work for the people. I'll work for you, and I'll look you right in the eye here and didn't say that. Nobody will run me. I'll have the Republican. I'm a Republican, so, of course I'll have my party, but, I'll look out for us. I'm a working man, and, I'll have to quit this job to go to another one. It ain't like I'm just not working now and going for this office, so. But, some of my platforms, some of my issues, for one's public education. I really think our school system is taking a beating. Our teachers are taking a beating. This illegal immigration, it's really hurting us. There's a lot of stuff going on with that. I'd like to enforce that better. Also, too, I think, the drug problem in America is very bad. These are all issues that affect us locally. There's the national stuff, but this is stuff that locally affects us that we need a hand in. It's hard to sit here and talk about everything. I hope I've covered everything. If anybody wants to talk to me more, I'm in the phone book. I've got a website. Feel free to call me. There's a forum here this Saturday morning. I wanted to come to it at the senior center. I won't be able to. They made us all work, because of the holiday last weekend. And I got people counting on me there at work. I run the heat treat area, but I'm getting around seeing, a lot of people know me, so. But I guess that's all, if you vote for me, I'll stick up for you. And I won't let us down. So thank you for your time.
Hi, I'm Luke Messer, and I'm running for Congress. Most groups I talk to, I start with an old adage we've all heard before, which is that when your neighbor loses their job, it's a recession. When you lose your job, it's a depression. And when Barack Obama loses his job, it's a recovery. Now, that's a twist on an old Ronald Reagan phrase that he used to say about Jimmy Carter in 1980, but it was true in 1980, and it's just as true today. Again, my name is Luke Messer. I'm running for United States Congress. The things I most would want someone to know about me is that I'm a Christian, I'm a conservative, I'm a husband and a father. I'm a former state legislator, former executive director of the Indiana Republican Party, and today I am the president and CEO of an education reform organization in our state called Hoosiers for Economic Growth, which has been very active in the education reform debate of the last several cycles in the Indiana State Legislature. If people ask me, some may have heard, but this is not the most popular time in the history of the United States Congress. Polling indicates that Congress's approval rating is somewhere between 10 and 12%. To put that in perspective, about 12% of Americans support human cloning. Now, I'm not sure it's the same 12%, and I know they haven't polled whether we should clone members of Congress, but it gives you a sense that this is not a very popular time for that body. We need new, strong, conservative leaders there. People ask me, why would you want to go be a part of that? And in my life, that really is rooted in my childhood. I was raised in a single-parent family in Greensburg, Indiana, by my mother, who still works at the Delta Faucet factory there. And if you'd have met my family in 1976, we were not a picture of guaranteed success. My mother was a young mother of 26. I was 7. My brother was 6. But my mother never doubted that in this great country, if we worked hard, we could build a life for ourselves. And because she never doubted it, my brother and I never doubted it either. And it really was in that order. And I've seen time and time again in my life that in this great country, if you work hard, the possibilities are limitless. But I ask really everyone that I talk to, do you believe that will be true for the next generation? Do you believe the next generation of Americans will have an opportunity to live the American dream and grow up in a country where no matter what their current station in life, they'll have an opportunity to build a life for themselves and live the American dream? And if our answer to that question is no, or even maybe, then we've got a lot of work to do as a country. I believe today, with our current president, our country is poorly led. I believe we stand at a real crossroads as a nation. One path is more government, less freedom and decline. The other path is less government, more freedom, and an opportunity at further prosperity. There is a lot of disenchantment and concern about what people see in Washington today. But I try to remind, again, every person and every group that I talk to, that we really have a remarkable model here in Indiana of what can happen when you have a great group of people come together as conservative leaders. I was in a unique position over the course of the last 7 or 8 years. As executive director of the Republican Party, we helped work to recruit Governor Daniels to run for governor and then serve. And then when he was first elected, I was on the House Ways and Means Committee and in House leadership as we passed our first budget in the Daniels regime, a budget that took a $600 million deficit and turned it into a surplus. It was really a remarkable achievement. If you look at where we are in total state government employees today, we're at 1974 levels. That means we have fewer state employees today than at any time since our state since 1974. And we didn't do that with some drastic measure. We essentially froze hiring when we didn't hire new folks as some retired, and then we restructured government. And if you've been to a BMV lately, you know that we are providing better services in leaner ways. We can do it in the federal government too. We just need leaders who will step forward and make the tough choices that it takes to get those things done. Now, as we turn to Congress, one of the things that I would like to do is follow in the conservative tradition of leaders like Governor Mitch Daniels and Congressman Mike Pence, who has been a great champion for limited government, family values, and a strong national defense. He's been someone who's not only been a good vote on those issues out in Washington, but somebody who's been a champion and a leader, and we need that as well. You'll see in our race there's several strong people running, people that I frankly have gotten to know and like over the course of the last several months. I think the biggest thing that separates our campaign from the others is the experience and preparation for the job. When I tell you I'm a conservative, that's not just something I say. I've got a record that shows that. When I was in the Indiana General Assembly, I had 100% right to life voting record. I had the A rating from the NRA. I helped Governor Daniels balance the budget in the way that I described earlier. That record has helped me earn the endorsement of groups like Indiana Right to Life and the Indiana Chamber in this campaign, and I'm very proud of those efforts. And I think the other combination is the life experience that I talked to you about earlier. Growing up in Greensburg, raising my family in Shelbyville, Indiana, with my wife Jennifer and our 3 kids, Emma, Ava, and Hudson. I actually spent a lot of time in Connorsville in my childhood. My father, who later in life we've gotten to know and spent a lot of time with, grew up here in Connorsville. His name was Alan Messer. And the Lathry family, my grandmother Alina Lathry, is somebody who's been a part of this community for many, many years. I think all of that combines to make us the person who's best prepared to represent the 19 counties of this district. And the last thing that I would leave really every person that I talk to with is this. These are tough times. People are frustrated by what they see in Washington for good reason, because we've had leaders, frankly, of both parties who in major ways have let us all down. We've got to get after spending. This is something that if we don't rein spending in, we're going to change this country permanently, and not in a positive way for our kids and our grandkids and our great-grandkids of future generations. But I also think it's important to remember that there's nothing wrong with this country that can't be fixed by the things that have been right with this country for more than 200 years. The principles of limited government and freedom and individual responsibility, and the fact that in this country, if you work hard, you still have a great chance. I spoke to a Tea Party group in Ripley County last night, and I kind of left them with this story that actually is somewhat of a biblical one, but I think has illustration for where we are as a country today. It's the story of the man waiting on the flood that many of us have heard. A man's waiting on a flood out in front of his home. Somebody pulls up in a truck. He says, "No, I'm not gonna jump on that truck. I believe in my Lord and Savior, and He'll save me." The flood waters keep coming. They pull up in a boat. He says to the people in the boat, "Nope, I'm not jumping on that boat. I believe in my Lord and Savior, and He's going to save me." Get on the roof. They come up with an helicopter. He says still, "Nope, I'm not going to jump on that helicopter. My Lord and Savior will save me." He dies, goes to heaven. At the pearly gate, he says, "Why did you forsake me? I've spent my life believing in you." And he was told, "Well, I sent you a boat, a truck, and a helicopter." These are challenging times, and I know at times people feel powerless in this country to do anything about it. But our founding fathers gave us in the United States Constitution all the tools we need to seize this country back from the special interests that have taken control in Washington. With your help, I will work to do that for you. Again, my name is Luke Messer. I'm running for United States Congress. I appreciate you spending the time to listen to me, and I would certainly ask for your vote on May 8th, and then in the general election this fall as well. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Bob White from Decatur County, and I'm running for House District 55. During my 8 years of service in the United States Department of Agriculture, as an appointee of President George W. Bush, I traveled into every county of this great state, working with thousands of local leaders on economic and community development. And the most important lesson that I learned was everything, and I mean everything, depends on people having well-paying jobs. basic human needs, education, churches, nonprofits, infrastructure, and emergency services all depend on funding from workers contributing to the local economy. On our campaign website, www.citizensforbobwhite.com, the blueprint has specific ideas and solutions to move forward in House District 55. I have the experience and utmost dedication to hit the ground running at the State House on your behalf. I am Bob White, and your vote would greatly be appreciated on May 8th.
Hi, my name is Cindy Zimke, and I am a candidate for State Representative for District 55. I'm a business owner. I own 2 restaurants, the Brow House in Oldenburg, as well as Brow House on the beach at Lake Santee. I employ 40 people, and I know the importance of small business in our area and the contributions that we're able to give. I'm lucky to have an extremely loyal staff, and which makes it running my businesses much easier. So with the value of having a business that's been there 10 years, I've learned a lot of things and try to be very supportive of our local communities. We try very hard every day to provide an excellent product with great service at a good value, and I would love to see those same qualities become much more important at our federal and state government level. We need to see a lot more value for our taxpayer dollars, and I am a huge proponent of fiscal federalism. I would love to see many of our programs come back to the state level. With the improvements that Governor Daniels has made in the last 7 years and our lean and mean Indiana government, I would love to see for instance, Medicaid program come back to be administered by the state and have those federal dollars brought back to us. And I feel that we would do a far better job administering those. Again, Indiana has proven that a state government can be far more fiscally responsible than a federal government. And I don't want us to rest on our laurels after all of the improvements that have been made in the last 7 years. My husband Tim and I believe strongly in public service and working for the communities. We continue to do that in several aspects. And I just believe that this is far more important than anything else at this time. I've been knocking on so many doors. Tim and I have both been out for a couple months in Connersville and have met really wonderful people who are scared. They want jobs and an opportunity to have more employment opportunities come this way. Again, I'm so pleased that I've been received so well in Fayette County, and people have been so gracious. And as we travel across the district, I try to get my message out of being accessible to all of the people in District 55. I joke that with a name like Zimke, that it is the only Zimke in the phone book, and anyone can reach me whenever they feel a need. I truly believe that this is a position of the people. It's not my voice that would be heard in Indianapolis, it's yours. It is citizen legislation, which is vital to what Indiana stands for. And again, it is your voice and your desires that my hard work and passion and determination can take for you up to the State House and to get a lot of really good work done. It's such an important time. I just encourage everyone to please get out to the polls and place your vote and let everyone know that your vote counts, your voice counts. I'm Cindy Zimke, and I'm a candidate for State Representative, District 55. Thank you.
I'm Laura Williams, and I'm a candidate for State Representative in House District 55 because I know how important it is that we have good, qualified people representing us in the legislature. My background is in small business. I'm an attorney from Decatur County, and I own and operate my own law practice. I was a very large part of our family business, a restaurant called Heritage Acres, that we operated for just over 10 years. I was raised on the farm, and I now manage our family farm. And I'm a mom. My kids are 4 and 8. I believe with my background, I have the knowledge and the experience and the common sense to be the best representative for this district. I know that the future of this district depends on good jobs. We have to make Indiana the most appealing place to do business for both big business and small business. And we'll do that with a state government that's committed to lower taxes, less regulation, and good, smart budgeting. That's the formula that will create the jobs that we need. And that's what I will fight for in the Indiana legislature. Government is not the solution. And government does not need to be creating jobs. But government does need to create the environment that will encourage good jobs and strengthen our communities. My goal will be to get government out of the way so that business can do its job. I know too that the strength of our families is the foundation of our community. When we take the values that we learn and hold dear in our family settings and apply them in other areas of our lives, we succeed. We set goals and then take the initiative to accomplish them. We do our best and we work hard in every task we take on. And we do the right thing in every circumstance. Those are the values that I will take with me to the Indiana legislature. And I'll work hard to strengthen those values, not only in the legislature, but in our community as well. I have a very vested interest in making sure that House District 55's future is the best that it can be. I'm raising my family here, and I want nothing more than for my kids to be able to raise their families here too. But I know for that to happen, it will take good leadership at all levels of government. And I want to be able to provide that leadership in the state legislature for my family and for our community. I give you my word that I will work hard every day to lead by example and to strive for excellence and integrity in all that I do. And I will work for you. I'm Laura Williams. I'm a candidate for state representative in House District 55, and I ask for your vote in the Republican primary on May 8th.
Hi, I'm Sam Harvey. I want to be your next state representative because I want to get people back to work and grow our economy. I think there are a number of ways of doing that. One very important way is through education. Today's employers are looking for an educated workforce. We have some great tools here in the 55th District to include the Career Center here in Connersville, as well as Ivy Tech. Today's equipment is all computer operated. Employers want people that can work with their hands and work smart too. If we were going to attract businesses to the Whitewater Valley, we must emphasize education. You know, I don't think it's enough to just give away money to businesses to come here. We've got to have a good reason for them to come here and locate in the Whitewater Valley. We have to make things again. You know, we're shipping way too many of our jobs overseas and to other places, to other countries. But here in America, we need to make things again. And certainly here in Connersville, we've been noted over the years of being Little Detroit and being a great manufacturing base. So once again, it's going to take education. But it's going to take education from a very early age, down in our elementary schools. Parents need to be involved. It takes three. It takes the student, it takes the parent, and it takes the school. So let's restore discipline to our schools and get the kids to where when they become adults, they are ready to work and they have a good work ethic. You know, as I travel the district, I find a lot of abandoned homes. And that's too bad. We've lost so many of our residents because there are not jobs here. If we can bring jobs back to this area, that increases the tax base, helps everyone. People will be paying income taxes, they will be paying property taxes again, and we can get properties cleaned up and keep taxes low for everyone. That's another incentive for businesses to locate here through low taxes. We have to stop burdensome regulations that come from Indianapolis. A lot of them come from Washington, but we don't need to add any more of them coming from Indianapolis from the legislature. You know, I want to go to Indianapolis and be your common sense voice. Common sense, I think, will prevail over a lot of things that go on in the legislature. We just have to stop and look at what works and what has worked in the past. The business environment has to be good, and as I said, giving money away to businesses just to bring them here probably isn't the answer. I want to use my 40 years of experience in business and industry in Indianapolis, as I said, using a lot of common sense, knowing what employers want and what they need, and making the environment good for them. I also want to use my leadership skills. I spent 24 years in the Army National Guard. I'm very proud of that, developing leadership skills that can be used at the State House. You know, I think young people are our future. I've been fortunate to have called Spartan basketball and football games for the last 21 years, but I see too many of our students and too many of our young people having to leave the 55th District, Connersville, the Whitewater Valley, for jobs. We need to find ways in order to retain them here. One very important thing that I think we have to do, we see time and time again in the newspaper people being arrested for drugs. And in a very short time, we see their picture right back in the paper. We have to stop the problem of chemical dependency, and maybe incarceration isn't the answer. Now, that's not to say we don't go after the drug dealers and we don't put them in jail, but we've got to get people help so they don't keep returning to the system. This increases our crime rate here as we see more and more break-ins, thefts, but it's all so that people can get drugs. So, in order to solve that problem, I propose that we have treatment centers for first-time offenders. Yes, they need to go and they need to get help. Once again, I am Sam Harvey, and I'm running for state representative because I want to get people back to work and grow our economy. On May the 8th, I'm asking for your vote for state representative, District 55.
I'm Joe Krepp, running on a Republican ticket for Fayette County Council at Large. Been in Fayette County all my life. I've seen a lot of things come and a lot of things go. I'm running for election because I want to try and make a difference in Fayette County and try to make the best of the taxpayers' money and get the best for their dollar. Maybe try and see about restructuring some of the areas to save a few bucks here and there. And so I appreciate your vote in May for Fayette County Council at Large on the Republican.
Hello, my name is Mike Wenta, and I'm running for County Council at Large. 11 years ago, I moved here with my 2 children to start a new family with my lovely wife Kelly and her 2 boys. Between the 2 of us, we have added 2 more to our family, giving us a total of 6 children. Those 6 children are a big part of why I'm running for public office today. I grew up in a town in southeastern Wisconsin, much smaller than Connersville, but shared many of the same core values. It's those core values that have brought me here to Fayette County. Within our county, we have proud, hard-working people that are probably more generous in their time and resources than anywhere else in the country. Like most of you out there, my children mean the world to me and would do anything within my power to make their life better. I believe that our children are our most precious commodity and that we as a community need to do everything that we can to secure their future here in Fayette County. I have been blessed to work with many of you in the community, whether it's through my dealings with you as the event chair for Relay for Life of Fayette County or as for coach for your children in various sports. I appreciate and I'm honored that many of you have allowed me to coach your children over the years. We have a tough road to hoe in Fayette County, but I know that through hard work and determination that we can bring this county back to prominence once again. As each of you are aware, we here in Fayette County are faced with some daunting challenges and some tough decisions that need to be made. We need leaders that are proactive and not reactive. We need leaders that look at the glass half full rather than half empty. We need a leader that is innovative and not afraid to try something different. We are not faced with Democratic or Republican problems. We are faced with simply problems that need to be addressed. I do have a vision for the county, and it's one where we can provide jobs through various opportunities that we, as leaders, need to identify. As I said earlier, I believe strongly in our youth, and I feel that it's imperative that we invest in their future and that we provide them with the opportunities to grow and to develop. One of my ideas is to create a new Spartan sports complex that would incorporate new ball fields for not only Babe Ruth, but our T-ball, girls slow pitch, and fast pitch leagues. This would be a place where we could hold tournaments on a regular basis, bringing in much needed revenue to our economy, and providing jobs for many of our youth and adults. It would incorporate football fields for our youth football league, along with a high school soccer field, allowing us to host both regional and sectional tournaments. I have also incorporated a skate park into it, and I'm trying to secure funding for that. I have already drawn up plans for this complex and am working on alternative funding for it. Remember, this is something that I am working on, not promising. Alternative funding is the key to the success of this project. We have a lot of vacant homes in the city and county that we either don't know what to do with or we tear them down. Prior to moving here in 2000, I had my own company building custom homes in Wisconsin. I drew up plans for clients as well as doing remodeling jobs. Currently, I work with architects, structural engineers, mechanical engineers, and civil engineers. My biggest challenge as an employer was finding good qualified help that actually understood construction. One of the things that these firms struggle with is people qualified with certain software skills. As I mentioned, we have a lot of vacant homes. My plan is that if we can get some of these homes donated, we can create a program that would teach the basic construction computer skills in a real-world scenario. I know that we could provide opportunities for our children to intern at some of these firms in Indianapolis, Dayton, Cincinnati, or even Louisville. When these homes are complete, I would like to see them given to a family down in their luck, giving them a much-needed second chance at life. I have shared only a few of my ideas and plans with you. I believe that we need someone with creative ideas that isn't afraid to try. After all, it's that creative spirit that helped Fayette County rise to prominence, and it's that creative spirit that will bring us back again. You can see some of my ideas and renderings on Facebook at Mike Wenta for County Council. I would like to thank you for your time and would respectfully ask for your vote in the upcoming election. My name is Mike Wenta, and I'm running for County Council at large. Thank you.